One of the most frequently searched questions on the internet relating to power tools today is who makes the best power tools? And with so many companies to choose from, how do you know that you're spending your money on the right tools? Well, that's a tough question to answer, but in today's video, we're going to try to break down a few different tool brands and put them in a category that ranges from pro, prosumer, and DIY. This will help answer any questions that you might have before venturing to your local big box store and spending money on a tool or tools that might be a bit overkill, or maybe you're spending money on a tool that just won't get the job done. Well, don't worry about it anymore, my friend. No longer will you be confused of which tool brand falls in the pro, prosumer, or DIY lineup. So let's take a look at DeWalt Tools first. DeWalt started in 1924 by Raymond E. DeWalt. He perfected the first radial arm machine and revolutionized the world of woodworking. Yay. Types of tools that DeWalt makes include, but not limited to, automotive tools, cable cutting and crimping, compressors, grinders and polishers, impact drivers and wrenches, nailers and staplers, multifunctional tools, pipe and tube cutting tools, and a whole bunch of accessories. Now, the DeWalt company is owned by Stanley Black & Decker, and even though Stanley Black & Decker is not the name brand it once was, the DeWalt name is still 100% focused on the pro trades. I like me those pros. And even though DeWalt carries a line of tools that any professional would be happy with, DeWalt seems to be more focused on carpentry, as their circular miter and table saws are probably some of the best on the market. Next up is Ryobi Tool. Now, Ryobi Tool is that green, shiny, bright tool that you see when you walk through the Home Depot. Now, believe it or not, in 1961, the company began manufacturing offset printing presses and was listed on the Tokyo Stock Exchange. Production of power tools, however, began in 1968. They're also owned by the same company that owns Milwaukee Tools, which is TTI. And even though they have one of the fastest growing lineups, they're sold at the Home Depot, Ryobi makes no bones about it. They are a DIY consumer-based product. Next up is Milwaukee Tool. Now, Milwaukee Tool also started during the same time as DeWalt Tool did in 1924. Milwaukee Tool's claim to fame is their reciprocating saw, as they were the first to offer the versatile tool. Now, Milwaukee Tool achieved a major step forward in the industry when they invented the technology that enabled the use of lithium-ion in power tools, and have been a leader in the development in battery technology. Their impact drills and drivers are some of the smallest yet most powerful ever created. Milwaukee is found on basically every major job site in the States and around the world. They also have one of the fastest growing tool lineups in the market today and trusted by professionals in every single category. A few years ago, Walmart started selling Hart tools. Now, a lot of people thought that this was a new brand to the TTI company. However, they've actually been around since 1983. Launched in Los Angeles, California, they solely made framing hammers. And though they're a different color, they have a different name, they're sold at different stores, Hart is basically the same as Ryobi, just packaged differently. So definitely not a prosumer or pro-grade tool, they're definitely DIY. In 1998, Lowe's and manufacturing partner J.H. Williams launched Cobalt. With the intention of competing against rival retailers Sears and Home Depot, they were putting their tools up against the respective Craftsman and Husky tool brands. Cobalt had a very respectable tool brand following. I loves me some Cobalt. However, once Stanley Black & Decker purchased Craftsman and brought them to Lowe's, it seems like Lowe's actually pushed Cobalt to the back of the line, even though they were the more respectable tool. And even though they are still being made and sold today at Lowe's, they are 100% prosumer. Many people believe that Flex Tools started making tools in 2019, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Flex Tools actually started in Germany. It was the inventor of the world's first handheld grinder with a flexible shaft in 1954. Now, Flex Tools is actually owned by Shervon, which also makes Skill and Ego tools. The huge advantage that Flex now has is that they are the leaders in the stacked lithium battery technology. This new battery tech is as groundbreaking now as when lithium-ion took over NiCad batteries in the 90s. Though they don't offer a very large array of tools in their lineup just yet, they are definitely being noticed by the bigger players in the game and starting to unleash some pretty amazing technology into the tool community. Definitely pro. Hilti is a tool company that you definitely heard of before, but may never actually use any of their tools. The company was founded in 1941, and in 1957, they had a breakthrough in the form of the world's first powder-actuated tool. Hilti is known for being a true professional grade in every sense of the word. They are no longer sold at the big box stores as they wanted to set themselves apart from the other brands. They are known for their heavy industrial tools and do not focus on homeowner offerings. Their prices are definitely amongst the highest in the category, but if you work in heavy construction, I can guarantee you have at least one Hilti tool on the site, Pro. This next tool is, well, a bit confusing. You have Pro and Prosumer. Ryobi Tools was founded in 1923 in North Ridgeville, Ohio. Now, a lot of people believe that TTI owns Rigid, and that's not the case. It's actually Emerson Electric that owns Rigid. However, there is a licensing agreement between TTI and Emerson, so Rigid can be made by TTI. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky because if you are a plumber or a pipe fitter, you definitely use Ryobi Tools on the job. Their pipe threading machines are fantastic and pro level. However, their cordless power tools are a different division. Rigid sits smack dab in between Milwaukee Tool and their baby brother Ryobi Tools. They are definitely 100% prosumer tools. Now, if you're a carpenter or do any type of woodworking at all, I guarantee you heard of this next company, Festool. Now, in 1925, believe it or not, they initially concentrated on repairing wood processing machinery and making structural modifications to these machines by converting plain bearings to ball bearings. But here's something else you probably didn't know. In 1927, they actually created the first transportable, yes, portable chainsaw. And yes, throughout the years, Festool, they created some really iconic stuff that's still under patent today that only they carry, such as the Domino Joiner. Now, don't get me wrong, their prices are sky high, but not only are their prices up there, so is their reputation. They are definitely pro. Skill Tools is one of the most iconic brands on the market still today. But don't get them confused with Skill Saw. Even though they're owned by the same company, they're two separate lines. Now, Skill was actually created in 1926. The headquarters was located in Naperville, Illinois. Now, believe it or not, Skill Power Tools actually invented the first portable circular saw. This led to the development of the Skill Saw circular saw model 77 in 1937. Now, just to make this simple for you, Skill Saw is marketed for professionals and Skill is prosumer. Now, Makita Tools has an even earlier start in the tool market and was founded in 1915 as an electrical motor sales and repair company. They became the first company in Japan to manufacture and sell electric planers. Now, believe it or not, Makita is actually a rock star and took the stage with Eddie Van Halen in the song Pound Cake. Makita also currently holds the title for the largest lineup of tools with their 18-volt platform and makes some of the most well-rounded tools on the market. Though many of their tools are not the most powerful out there, the build quality and overall smooth performance of their tools make them a leading brand. Just watch out though for their pesky mascot, the Makita Gnome. That said, Makita is 100% pro tool. People have a love-hate relationship with Harbor Freight tools, and there's a good reason because back in the day, Harbor Freight didn't sell the best tools known to man. However, in recent years, Harbor Freight came out with Hercules tools, which is sort of changing the way people look at the company. The Hercules series of tools is really stepping up the game for Harbor Freight. They're offering a 5-year warranty now on their tools, and the numbers that they're running with the specs are actually comparing to some of the big players in the market. Now, the battery quality and the tool quality that the Hercules series is putting out is way above and beyond anything that Harbor Freight has sold in the past. Now, this is Harbor Freight's flagship tool brand, and a lot of people might say that this is a pro-grade tool. However, I'm sticking with the prosumer line, if you ask me. Now, there is one more brand of tool that Harbor Freight carries, which is Bauer, and Bauer is very popular amongst many people. However, this is a step down, in my opinion, from the Hercules brand, and I definitely say that the Bauer, even though they offer a pretty large lineup, is still a DIY tool brand. So this one here I'm going to keep short and sweet and straight to the point. You got Metabo, then you have Metabo HPT, and they sort of absorb each other. And listen, anytime you see anything with Metabo on the side of the tool, yeah, it's a pro tool. Go ahead and buy it if that's what you're looking for. Oh, Craftsman. I remember the days walking into the Sears store and looking at the Craftsman hand tools in awe. They were shiny, bright, pretty, and built really well in the USA. Now, not so much. Craftsman pretty much went away from Sears because, well, Sears went away and moved over to Lowe's. Now, this is another tricky one for me. Their hand tools, I still consider them pro-use tools. However, with the prices and the competition with other brands pretty much just devouring Craftsman, I would say that, they're not what they once used to be. However, let's talk about their power tools, where they're definitely not pro grade. If anything, they are DIY. I wouldn't even consider them prosumer. DIY all the way for Craftsman power tools. Now, the second oldest tool manufacturer is Robert Bosch. Yes, Bosch Tools, well-known, well-respected brand in the industry, which is a favorite of many, many pro users and contractors. They stem back from 1886 when Robert Bosch founded the workshop for precision mechanics and electrical engineering. And believe it or not, the first power tool that Bosch ever created was a hair trimmer. Now, as the years went by in 1932, grinders and drills, screwdrivers started going into production. Now, there were two types of tools. One were green and one were blue. The green were DIY user tools and the blue tools were meant for professionals. Now, I'm not going to get into today's video when it comes to marketing and who has the most selling tools. That's for another video. I will say though, simply Bosch is a pro grade tool all around. Which brings us to our oldest company on the list, the Stanley Black & Decker Company. Now, it doesn't matter if you shop at Lowe's, Ace, Walmart, anywhere, I guarantee you probably will find some sort of Stanley Black & Decker tool, whether it's a tape measure, utility knife, or whatever. The Stanley Black & Decker Company absorbed companies like DeWalt and others. However, Stanley Black & Decker isn't really what it used to be. Listen, they have a lot of really great brands such as Cub Cadet, DeWalt, and like I mentioned, many, many others. They've been around since 1843. However, they are no longer the flagship of their company. DeWalt Tool, when it comes to power tools, is their flagship. Now, don't get me wrong, Black & Decker, you might find a good tape measure here or there, a utility knife here and there, but when it comes to power tools, they just don't have it. And I would say DIY all day long. If you're serious about buying tools and you're looking for a DIY price range, a prosumer price range, and a professional price range, stay within those categories because these are the leading brands out on the tool market today.